talking to you because you twist everything I say and put words into my mouth.
What words have I put into your mouth?
Oh, come see you. Question.
Well, that's what I do.
Of
course, you say something.
I know absolutely nothing.
I know. You keep saying I haven't got a clue.
Dear.
Love to the family, Jackie.
Right.
Have you ever heard someone argue so confidently, only for their entire case to fall apart the moment they're asked a simple question? Well, that's exactly what you're about to witness. This isn't just another heated radio debate. It's one of the most baffling and contradictory conversations I've ever heard on LBC, and as it unfolds, it becomes almost impossible to predict what the caller is going to say next. Before we dive into the full story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Now, I've listened to a lot of political phone-ins over the years, and disagreements are nothing new. People call in with strong opinions all the time. Sometimes they're persuasive, sometimes they're passionate, and sometimes they simply see the world differently. But every now and then, a caller comes along whose argument seems to change every few minutes, contradicting itself almost as quickly as it's being made. That's exactly what happened here. This may genuinely be the most confused caller I've ever heard on LBC. She begins with one complaint, then suddenly shifts to a completely different issue, and every time she's challenged on the facts, the conversation becomes even more tangled. Instead of clarifying her position, she seems to move the goalposts over and over again. What makes this exchange so fascinating isn't just the disagreement itself. It's the way a few calm, straightforward questions slowly expose just how shaky the arguments really are. You can almost hear the conversation unravel in real time. So, with that in mind, let's get straight into it. Watch closely because this debate takes some unexpected turns, and once it's over, I'll break down exactly why I think this conversation unfolded the way it did, and what it says about political debates more broadly.
11:34 is the time. Jackie's in Bexley. Jackie, what would you like to say?
I'd like to say that all the aggravation it causes when people are protesting, blocking roads, the way to protest isn't by blocking roads, stopping ambulances, police cars, stopping the public getting to work. It just makes people angry, and it's pointless.
How did you feel about the Queen's funeral?
The Queen's funeral, that was organised.
Yeah, but my God, they shut a lot of roads.
Yeah, but that was organised. It's not like these protesters that just do it willy-nilly.
But you couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't go anywhere.
Everybody knew the Queen's funeral was on that day.
Yeah, but if you had a heart attack, it wouldn't make any difference, would it?
Yeah, but they had roads diverted.
Did they?
So
why can't they do that? Why can't they do that when it's just stop oil then?
Because they just do it without letting people know. They just do it.
Yeah, but if they can get the police on the spot to do the arrests, then they can divert the roads that they used when it was the Queen's funeral. I mean, to be honest with you, we both know they didn't divert the roads. If you were in the West End of London, you couldn't go anywhere by car.
Yeah, but then who was going to work? Everybody was off work. Everything was closed.
We're talking about police cars and ambulances, aren't we, Jackie?
Yeah, but
they weren't off work.
There was a reduced service, though, wasn't there?
Well, that's terrible.
A lot of people were watching the funeral, were there at the funeral. It was organised. That's the difference. Well, these protests aren't organised.
Okay, so we should organise them then. They should. I mean, because what we've got to do is compare the disruption.
Yeah, if they want to organise them, that's fine. I haven't got any problems.
Even if it shuts down the whole city.
Sorry.
Even if it shuts down the whole city.
Well, you're not going to shut down the whole city.
Well, the Queen's funeral did.
One certain area.
The Queen's funeral did.
Yeah, we're not talking about the Queen's funeral.
I kind of am. I appreciate you don't want me to, but you can't object to police cars not being able to get through in a sort of theoretical sense, but be perfectly comfortable.
It's completely different. The Queen's funeral is organised. Things like that is organised. Okay. The public know what's happening that day, and you would avoid going to those areas.
When do you think the police should be able to arrest people who haven't done anything wrong yet?
No, they shouldn't be able to arrest people who haven't done anything wrong, but people gluing themselves to the road.
No, they can already arrest them. This is about people who haven't done anything wrong yet.
Yet?
Yes.
Why should you wait for somebody? If you know someone's going to do something
wrong...
How
do you know?
Well, you don't, do you? But if people, like you say, if you said earlier, if people are on parole, you know...
No, hang on, let's just rewind a bit. Because you said if you know somebody's going to do something wrong, and I said, how would you know? And you said, well, you don't, do you? But the law would allow the police to arrest people who haven't done anything wrong yet if the police fear that they might or that they're about to. So when would you do that? When would you be in favour of that?
Well, I'm not saying I'm in favour of arresting somebody that hasn't done something wrong.
But that's the entire phone-in topic that we're having at the moment.
Well, you know, the thing is, I thought he was talking about how you feel about protesters and things like that.
No, definitely not, no. Because the point is, the police would say they've already got enough powers in those circumstances. You know, Charlotte Lynch, my colleague, got arrested just for watching a protest. She didn't even have any glue on her person.
That's totally wrong. That's totally wrong. I'm not.
But they want more. But they want more powers, Jackie. So you're saying that the powers they've already got led to something that's totally wrong, and now they want more powers?
Well, you know, I think in certain circumstances...
You keep saying you know. I know it's a figure of speech, but I really don't, because I don't know quite what you think you're in favour of or opposed to.
I'm opposed to these protesters acting like idiots.
Yeah.
That,
should be we should all be allowed to act like...
do not know what paying into the tax system is.
Yeah, but no, these lines, I'm familiar with these lines. I've heard them millions of times before, but we've just established that this is not the conversation in which those lines need to be rehearsed, because we're talking about the police being given new powers to shut down protests before they cause disruption.
Yeah, but you know, you can protest. You don't need to block roads. You don't need to do stupid things.
But they won't have blocked any roads, will they? Because they'd be arrested before.
Well, that's fine then. That's fine then.
So we're getting there now. So when do you think it's okay for the police to arrest people who haven't done anything wrong?
Right. But they're allowed to arrest then, are they, when they're blocking the M25?
No, so if they've done that, they've already done something wrong. This is about... I can only explain it so many times, Jackie. This is about the police.
Well, they haven't done anything wrong, but what I'm saying is, they know...
So when? Just tell me when. When is it okay to arrest people who haven't done anything wrong?
The moment they start walking towards blocking the road is when they should be arrested.
Now, how do you know they're going to block the road? They might just be walking.
They're not going to just be walking. Common sense says, come on.
But the last protest did involve just walking. They were walking up the Strand slowly. That was their protest.
Blocking roads.
Walking slowly?
Blocking roads.
OK, so what speed should it be illegal to walk at?
I'm not saying it's illegal to walk, but what I'm saying is it's all about common sense, isn't it?
Blocking roads.
It's all about common sense.
Blocking roads.
It's all about common sense.
So I'm asking where your common sense leads you. At what speed should you be arrested for walking in the road?
I'm not talking about speed. I'm talking about the amount of people that are blocking access.
But once they're blocking access, they've broken the law. They could be arrested. So why do they need new laws to arrest people who haven't done anything wrong yet? Because they don't.
What sort of laws they're talking about?
Well, I know what sort of laws they're talking about. That's why I'm hosting the phone-in.
You hear things from the government. Is any of it true?
Jackie.
At the end of the day, you hear about talking about immigration. I haven't got a problem. And the Jewish situation is completely different. Earlier on, listening to the conversation, it's unacceptable.
What's happening?
The immigration.
I feel that I sense you've rung 3 different phone-ins now, except the one that we're actually having.
I'm getting older. I've been listening to it this morning, and I've been listening to it, and it's horrendous, because at the end of the day, there's not a problem with people coming in the country, immigrants coming into the country.
Why are we talking about this?
They're going to work. Well, because I want to get it out there, because the government are afraid to say anything.
Can't you go to a coffee morning?
To say anything nowadays.
Who's frightened to say anything nowadays? You haven't stopped talking for the last 6 minutes.
Well, there you go. I'm getting my point across.
So why are you frightened? Who's frightened? Who's frightened? I mean, to be fair, I'm not sure you are getting your point across, but I'm delighted that you feel you are. But who's frightened of saying anything? Who are these people?
But you're not allowed to say things in case you're being racist.
Like what?
You talk about immigration. When people talk about immigration, the one point I talk to a lot of people. I work in the public sector and talk to a lot of people.
About protests.
Yeah, but it is about protest.
So what aren't you allowed to say about immigration without being called racist?
You're not allowed to say that you don't think Britain should help. The problem is, let people in from the Ukraine, from war-torn countries, that are running for their lives.
Yeah.
But if you're running for your life, you stop in the first country that's safe.
Well,
England
that's Poland.
Is the first country that's safe.
That's Poland.
Mm-hmm.
That's Poland.
Well, this isn't, but England isn't the first country that's safe.
No, but if you're running out of Ukraine, you should stay in Poland or possibly Estonia. My geography's not as good as it should be.
Yeah.
What?
What I'm saying is, you're getting people coming across illegally on boats.
But why were you talking about Ukraine?
Because the war in Ukraine.
What about the war in Syria?
Sympathy.
They've just shot a politician in Afghanistan for being a woman.
Yes, but that's what what I'm saying. I'm talking about war-torn countries.
Yeah, like Afghanistan and Syria.
Sorry?
Like Afghanistan and Syria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they come over legally in the correct way and not on boats across the channel.
What's the legal way?
What's
the legal way?
What's the legal way? Get your documents, come over the legal way.
How?
The legal system works.
What's the legal way?
That's why the NHS is in so much trouble.
Whoa,
because
NHS!
You've got so many people come into the country
that
aren't paying into the system,
right.
that are getting housing benefits because they know the system. Because England is a soft country, and everybody knows that.
Right.
If you come in from another country, you'll get a house, you'll get benefits, you get free medical treatment. That's why the NHS is up the creek, and nobody will say it. Nobody will say it, but I will, because that's the truth of the matter.
To be fair, Jackie, I've heard loads of people say it, and they are all wrong.
How can you say they're all wrong?
Well, let's examine it, shall we? Let's just back up one bit. The legal routes that you can come here from Afghanistan. Just talk me through what that involves.
I haven't a clue.
I know.
I haven't a clue.
Okay, and let's pretend that those routes...
I'll be honest, I haven't a clue.
Oh, well, you don't have to tell us that. Or not out loud. And now pretend now that these legal routes exist, even though we both know that they don't, okay? So you get here via one of these legal routes. Talk me through how you get a house and benefits.
Who knows? But
you do,
that comes
Jackie.
Here seems to know.
You do. So tell me how that works.
I haven't a clue how they get it, but they get it.
So you haven't got a clue how they get here.
They moan about being in a centre down in Kent.
Well, hang on. Why are they in a centre down in Kent if they're all getting houses and unemployment benefits?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they in a centre down in Kent if they can all get a house?
These are the ones that are coming on the boats, aren't they?
No, but no, you just told me they're the ones that get the houses.
They do.
But why are they in a centre in Kent then?
Because they're waiting for all the paperwork to be done, aren't they?
But you were in favour of the paperwork a minute ago. That would be the legal route.
Now. You know the situation, and you can't say it's right.
I do, and it is.
Do you believe people that are paying their taxes, that my parents who have worked all of their life and struggled and paid into the system, and we should let any Tom, Dick or Harry come into the country?
But we don't, you see.
We do.
No,
how can you say that? We do. Well, you don't live in the real world.
How many times in this conversation have I said I haven't got a clue?
Well, how can I believe what you're saying?
No,
how do I know what you're saying?
It's a simple question. Correct? It's not an opinion. It's just counting. How many times in this conversation have I said I don't have a...
Doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm being honest. That's why.
And how many times?
And how many times?
And how many times?
I know for a fact.
And how many times have you said it?
Yeah, I haven't got a clue about certain things. I don't know the system. I don't know the system.
Well,
but I do.
But then, how
know
can you
for
have such a strong opinion about something you don't know anything about?
I'm not saying I know about the system.
So if I said to you, point at something that proves what you're telling me, what would you point at?
Point at something that proves what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Well, go on to a GP list of patients.
Yeah.
And see how long they've been in the country and what they get and where they live.
Right.
And
what would this prove?
Council accommodation, private rented.
Oh, Jackie.
You go in and have a look.
Okay.
And you're telling me, you cannot honestly tell me that this is not happening.
Well, I don't know what you're telling me is.
Tell me honestly.
So you're telling me that
what happens to the people?
Foreign people go to the doctors.
Boats? You tell me they're not getting sent straight back, are they?
Foreign people go to the doctors. Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm not saying that. You're changing everything I'm saying.
I don't understand what you think. I don't think either of us know what you're saying.
Proof. No, yes. I haven't got the proof.
No, I know you haven't got the proof. Why didn't you just say that?
Got the proof.
So you haven't got a clue, and you haven't got the proof.
No.
I know.
I don't need the proof.
But it doesn't matter, because you can't say what you want in this country anymore without being called a racist.
You walk around any local town centre...
And you'll see some foreign people.
They're not going to be classed as being racist. You walk around any town centre...
How can you tell who's foreign?
Okay. You walk, and because you can hear the language. So it's not just black, Indian, Asian people.
No.
It's Polish, Ukrainian, it's Eastern European.
Yeah. And what's wrong with them again?
Every single language apart from English.
What's wrong with them again?
Don't tell me there's not people coming into this country...
I didn't.
Well, but you're telling me, and they're not getting houses. You're telling me where they live.
You've got Suella Braverman's parents.
St Thomas's Hospital.
You've got Rishi Sunak's parents. You've got James Cleverly's mum. You've got Dominic Raab's dad.
Staff are working there.
What's wrong with foreigners?
Nothing's wrong with foreigners as long as they're coming into the country and paying their taxes.
But they are.
They're not. Not all of them.
Well, how do they do that then?
Not all of them. You get a job and you work.
So unemployed foreigners are the problem.
Yes.
Right. Well, we got there in the end.
Yes, unemployed
Why are they worse? Why are they worse than unemployed British people?
No, unemployed British people are as bad.
Oh, so why are we talking about the foreigners?
Because they're letting people into the country.
Who is?
The government.
But we've just established you've got no idea how you can come into this country legally if you're a refugee.
Well, you tell me.
You can't.
You can.
How?
Because they're getting on boats and ending up at Dover.
Yes, that's the thing that we said wasn't legal. So what's the legal route?
I don't know the legal route, but what I'm saying is the legal route should be...
I said you can't, and you said you can.
You have to have a certain amount of money, don't you, to get into Australia?
What's the legal route?
I don't know the legal route.
There isn't one.
I don't know. And what member of the public does know the legal route in? Come on.
I do.
How do you know the legal route then?
Well, it's research.
Yeah, research.
Yeah. Do you want to know what the legal route is if you want to come in?
You tell me the legal route.
There isn't one.
Okay. How comes that is then?
Pardon?
How's that then?
Because the Tories have closed them all down. The French would open up an asylum processing centre in Calais tomorrow. But the Tories don't want to do that because it would involve genuine asylum seekers having their applications accepted and coming to this country legally.
But, you cannot have... A genuine asylum seeker would not be able to come to this country, would they?
Correct.
If you're a genuine asylum seeker, you go to the first safe country. You wouldn't have this problem.
No, you don't, though, Jackie. That's simply not true. Also...
It is true. If you're running,
okay,
for your life...
Okay, so why didn't all the Ukrainians stay in Poland then?
Well, okay, fair enough. But what I'm saying is...
What do you mean, okay, fair enough? It's a question. Why didn't all the Ukrainians...
I haven't a clue.
Okay,
well,
I do. Again, there we are again. I hope someone's
sympathise.
keeping count. It's something else you don't have a clue about. Shall I tell you why they didn't all stay in Poland?
Go on then.
Because the idea that people fleeing war zones have to stay in the first safe country they reach is not true.
Well, this is what we're told.
Who by?
By the government.
No, you're not.
By whoever.
Oh, actually, on this occasion, you are told that by the government. But they're the same.
By the government, but how do we know what
they're saying? But a minute ago,
in fact,
at the beginning of this call, you were telling me you can't trust anything the government says.
Well, you can't, can you?
No, you can't, Jackie.
You've just said it. You can't.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't.
Except the bits you want to believe.
No, it's not the bits you want to believe.
Like
it's what
the bits about safe countries.
When you see how the NHS is struggling and all these people are coming into the country.
What about foreign doctors?
Not enough schools.
50%.
Building houses.
50% of NHS doctors now are foreign. 50% of NHS doctors are foreign born. How do we feel about them?
I'm not against foreign people. So you're changing what I'm saying.
I'm not.
I am not against foreign people working in England.
But if you're walking through the town centre and you see someone speaking Polish, how do you know whether they've got a job or not?
I don't know whether they've got a job or not. So
then how do you know that they're the problem that you can point at to prove to me all the things?
I'm not pointing at individuals, am I?
Yes, you were a minute ago. You said you can walk through any town.
If people come to this country, no matter where in the world they come from, if they're going to work and pay taxes and pay national insurance towards the NHS, then that's fine.
So you're in favour of uncontrolled immigration then?
Not uncontrolled, no.
Why not if they've all got to get a job and pay taxes?
There'd be a lot less people coming into the country, wouldn't there, that are working. If you want the doctors, the nurses, and all the healthcare workers and all professional people coming into the country, that's not a problem. But the problem is the people that aren't.
It'd be a lot harder to see a
country.
doctor if we got rid of half of them, wouldn't it?
So why are you saying that I haven't said a word about getting rid of foreign doctors? I said it doesn't matter what country you're from, as long as you are paying.
Well, that's uncontrolled immigration.
No, it's not.
It is.
How can it be uncontrolled? If the paperwork's going through, how can it be uncontrolled? They're applying to come to the country to do a specific job.
Yes,
okay?
Exactly. So we won't put any limits on how many people can come here as long as they do a job.
Yes, but you're not going to have all the uncontrolled amount of people coming here that aren't going to work and are going to get benefits and housing.
And how do they get here again?
How does who get here?
All the people you were just talking about, the ones with all the houses.
I don't know how they get here. Some come over on a boat illegally.
Right.
Some get over here legally, whether you just said
Will you do me a favour?
I don't care how they get over here. I don't know how they get over here, but at the end of the day,
again, it's an incredibly strong opinion. An incredibly strong opinion for a subject that, by your own admission, you know absolutely nothing about.
No. You're just trying to change what I'm saying.
I'm really not.
And I I bet if you put a vote out on what people think out there, you'll get a 99% vote.
Well, let's find out.
Right, and loads of people want to say the same as me,
what do you think?
Got the guts to say it.
Well, we're here again, aren't we? You think you're some sort of brave crusader saying stuff that...
I don't think I'm a brave crusader. I'm just a normal.
Well, what does guts mean then?
Person.
What does guts mean, Jackie?
Why are you questioning the way I'm speaking?
You just said I haven't got the guts to do it, and I said that you think you're brave. So if you say I haven't got the guts to do something, guts is just another word for bravery, isn't it?
Look, okay, people are frightened to say anything.
I have to go now. Well, hang on.
Okay,
again,
then.
No, we're back there. What are people frightened of saying?
Oh, is it worth me finishing?
Yeah,
is it worth me finishing?
Well, I'm 8 minutes late for the break. I could do this all day, but what is it that people are frightened of saying in the...
Speaking up the honest truth about what they feel.
But every time you've told me the honest truth, I've asked you one question and you've said I haven't got a clue.
That's about the way people get into the country, and
how can it be the honest truth?
Legal or illegal way of getting into Britain, but it's happening.
If I asked you to make a list of things you have got a clue about, what would you put at the top of the list?
Who knows?
Well, I hoped you might.
I've got a clue about a lot of things.
Go on, then.
I've got a clue about a lot of things.
All right.
Well, there's no point in talking to you because you twist everything I say and then put words into my mouth.
What words have I put into your mouth?
Oh, come and see you. Question.
Well, that's what I do.
Of
course, you say something.
I know absolutely nothing.
I know. Well, you keep saying I haven't got a clue.
Dear.
Love to the family, Jackie.
Right.
So, after listening to that entire exchange, it's honestly hard not to come away feeling frustrated. The caller made one confident claim after another, but the moment James O'Brien asked for evidence or even a simple explanation, the answer was almost always the same. I haven't got a clue. Or, you can't trust what you hear. And that's where the whole argument starts to fall apart. If you believe you can't trust the government and you can't trust what you hear, then where are these opinions actually coming from? It's one thing to have concerns about immigration or public policy. Those are legitimate topics to debate. But if you're making very strong claims, you also need to be prepared to back them up when someone asks the obvious follow-up question. What really stood out to me was how this conversation began as a discussion about Just Stop Oil protests and police powers, but within minutes it had completely shifted into immigration. That sudden change made it feel like the caller wasn't responding to the questions anymore. Instead, she kept returning to a collection of talking points that didn't really address what was being discussed. Then came the moment that, in my opinion, summed up the entire debate. James asked a simple question. If you see someone speaking another language in your local town, how can you possibly know whether they're employed or unemployed? It's a straightforward question, but there wasn't a clear answer because, of course, you can't know that just by looking at someone. For me, that's why James controlled this conversation from start to finish. He didn't rely on shouting or personal attacks. He simply kept asking clear, logical questions, and those questions exposed just how inconsistent many of the claims really were. But that's just my perspective. I'm curious to hear yours. Do you think James handled the debate fairly? Or do you think the caller had a point that wasn't fully explored? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, I'll see you in the next one.